Morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's disappointing how Zimbabweans sometimes lose sight of the real issues and they get easily sidelined and spend all their energy and time on the wrong thing. Ever since the October elections last year, when Sengezo Tshabangu started recalling Triple C, it looks like everybody has channeled their anger at Tshabangu. But that is actually losing the point completely. The damage of the disastrous 2023 elections was done by all those who participated in that election. And I've said it here and I'll say it again. They participated knowing fully well that the process is flawed, that by participating, they'll be giving Zanu PF legitimacy. Indeed, Chamisa's commitment to participating was so powerful that he was even willing to blatantly lie to the people of Zimbabwe to entice them into participating. Chamisa lied when he said he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes because he was so hell-bent on participating out of greed. He and his colleagues knew that if you participate, you will get the benefits of the few gravy train seats that Zanu PF gives away to entice the opposition to participate. Those are the ones that they were after. What happened after the elections, the recalls of these elected officials by Tshabangu is of no relevance at all. The damage has already been done. Tshabangu is nothing more than the vulture feeding on the carcass of an elephant. To blame the vulture for killing the elephant is absurd. Letting go the real culprits who killed the elephant. I've just been watching a video of Zimbabweans harassing and harrying Tshabangu at the graveyard of one of the MCCC senators. You just watch it, see it for yourself.
Azvichinje kuti zisaya riseneta. And I'm proud ukuthi akaraswa nevanhu vakataura
but ini
Wakati wa Marine Zanu
yazozai haifi yakwanisa kuti ivharwe.
wakati wa Marine Mnangagwa
Akarwirwa nyika
wakati wa Marine idi
tikwanise kuti Zvizai
wakati wa Marine idi
nhasi apinda afa erisenate. I'm proud.
There it is. Why he had to be drowned out, Baker's belief. The guy in the background there was constantly asking him, how much were you paid by Zanu PF? Does it really matter? The damage has already been done. And the damage was not done by Tshabangu stepping in and recalling CCC elected officials. The damage was done by participating in the flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that participating will give Zanu PF legitimacy. They participated regardless. They were so hell-bent on participating that they even lied that CCC was going to win big, just to get people to participate. The process was so flawed that even SADC and the AU election observers, who in the past have turned a blind eye to flawed elections in Zimbabwe, last year they could not do so. They turned around and said, no, this election is flawed and illegal. That did not stop the CCC leaders who had participated in those elections taking up their gravitron seats. They went ahead and took them up, take up those seats. And even some of them, the likes of Tendai Biti, David Coulthard, were defending participating in those elections, claiming that those were liberated zones. What liberated zones are you talking about? Were elections in those areas where CCC won free, fair, and credible? The answer is no, nonsense. One of the reasons why SADC condemned those elections is that there was not even a verified voters' roll. How can you have a meaningful election without a verified voters' roll? That is in the Zimbabwe's own electoral act. The law is very clear on that. Zimbabwe, ZEC should produce a verified voters' roll at least one calendar month before nomination day. Zimbabwe has never produced a verified voters' roll. Never. In the country's history, now 44 years since independence. So why were these people keeping on participating in so flawed an electoral process? Greed. Simple and clear. Once you've participated, the damage is done. To then talk about, oh, what happened with those who participated being recalled, and now making a big issue out of Tshabangu because he recalled these people. Yes, that is no more than a vulture feeding on the elephant's carcass. Just because the vulture is the one feeding on the carcass doesn't mean that it was the one that killed the elephant. The problem with this mentality of failing to see the key issues is that this is a repeat of what happened in 2018. In 2018, Chamisa was warned, do not participate in these flawed elections without reforms. He insisted in participating. Insisted. He even claimed that we have stringent measures to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. Of course, he was lying. He didn't have any stringent measures to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. Zanu PF went ahead and rigged those elections. He was lying because he needed to get people to participate in those flawed elections. His share of the few gravy train seats depended on him convincing his followers that the Triple C would win the elections. And once they participated, we have given the process legitimacy. To then make a big song and dance about, oh, Zanu PF has rigged the elections, it's too late. In 2018, the problem, Chamisa's problem came when the High Court judged that his takeover as leader after the death of Morgan Tsvangirai had not been constitutional. Many people, even in the MDC alliance itself at the time, did emphasize that point, that the way Chamisa had succeeded Morgan Tsvangirai left a lot to be desired. The court decided that yes, it wasn't constitutional. And that allowed the hatred to be directed in the direction of initially Mai Kupe, and then later on it was Douglas Mwonzora. And the debate of why had the people been misled into participating in 2018 elections without reform was forgotten. Mwonzora became the fall guy. Everything else that Chamisa had done was forgotten and forgiven. This has not helped the country move forward. Because if people had focused on the real issue, why did we participate in the 2018 elections without reform? They would have found that it's difficult to do the same mistake in 2013, in 2023. But they didn't. The focus was on Mwonzora. He became the fall guy. Everything else that had gone wrong in Triple C ever since the party's launch in 1999, he became the conductor, the lightning conductor. It's a pity. We keep making the same mistake over and over again. As much as Sengezo Tshabangu is benefiting, there's no doubt about the financial benefits. He is now senator. He wasn't the one of the senators named after the 2023 elections, but because he was able to recall those who had been elected by virtue of him claiming that he was the Secretary General. He has since put in his own friends as senators and put forward his own name as senator. Last week, it was confirmed that when it comes to dispensing the Political Party Finance Act payout, Tshabangu and this group will get the money. He has been named as the leader of Zimbabwe's main opposition in parliament. Those are all the benefits, the gravy train benefits that they were all fighting for. As much as he is benefiting, no one is denying. No one is denying that the vulture is feeding on the carcass. But the damage had already been done. To blame Tshabangu and those around him for the disastrous consequences of participating in 2023 is to miss the point completely. The blame must be put on the lap of those who participated in those elections without reforms. They were doing it out of greed. Whether they won or they lost or they won and then were recalled is irrelevant. It's now totally irrelevant. That is no longer the issue. The issue is you participated and you gave the process legitimacy. And to let those who participated off the hook is ridiculous because they're going to do it again. They are now the holier than the Pope. Clean to participate in 2028. Indeed, they're being seen as the innocent victims. I don't support Tshabangu. But I also realize that the problem of Zimbabwe's rigged elections and bad governance, the problem of participating in 2023 and the repercussions that have flowed from that are not to be laid at Tshabangu's door. Because that was the damage that had already been done. You've got to look back on those who participated. Whether they won or they lost, or they won and stayed on their parliamentary seats for only a few weeks before they were recalled, is irrelevant. You participated. You gave Zanu PF legitimacy. You participated, took up those seats even when SADC in the AU had said those elections were flawed. SADC, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I believe SADC would have denied Zanu PF political legitimacy last year if MDC or Triple C rather had not participated in those elections in their millions. Gave those SADC leaders who had an agenda, an axe to grind, who had said they were not going to allow regime change in Zimbabwe, the excuse to allow Zanu PF to stay in power. I'm talking here of ANC. When SADC election observers condemned those 2023 elections, the AU election observers condemned those 2023 elections. There is no doubt that SADC would have happily condemned those elections. They didn't. That cannot be denied. That cannot be downplayed. That is what happened. We cannot keep on emphasizing, putting emphasis on the wrong thing. To keep on pretending that Tshabangu's recall was the biggest thing or the root cause of the 2023 elections becoming meaningless is to miss the point completely. I have got nothing against Tshabangu, but the way he was being hurried and hustled clearly shows this is again a repeat of what we saw with Douglas Mwonzora, where Douglas Mwonzora became the lightning conductor. Everything that MDC had done wrong was forgotten and forgiven for everybody else except Douglas Mwonzora. And that allowed Chamisa to go ahead, form his Triple C, participate in the 2023 elections, and we're back to where we were. Another rigged election. And by participating, we've given Zanu PF legitimacy. This cycle must be broken. We need to break this cycle. That is the point. As much as we hate Tshabangu, Tshabangu is not the root cause of why 2023 was a lost opportunity. That is my message. Chamisa and company who participated in these flawed elections are the root cause. They are the hyenas that killed the buffalo. The vulture you're seeing feeding on the buffalo is not responsible for killing it. We have got 2028 coming up. Tshabangu may not even participate in those. And if he did, it will be no different from what happened with Mwonzora. As long as Chamisa participates and cons the rest of his 2 million plus supporters, who should be asking him what happened in 2023. As long as they participate in 2028, we will be back to where we are today, where Zanu PF blatantly rigs elections and get away with it. Because you participated. When will we ever learn? When are we going to stop repeating the same foolish mistakes? Forget Tshabangu. Concentrate on Chamisa. The damage is done. This opposition, whether it's Tshabangu or Fazal Maher and the others who were in parliament, they were not going to change anything. Zanu PF has got the majority already. Zanu PF is able to do whatever it likes. change in Zimbabwe will only come when we've implemented the democratic reforms so that those who are elected in parliament are truly democratically accountable to the people, and they know it. At the present moment, the Zanu PF MPs are not accountable to the people, no more than the opposition MPs are accountable to the people, because they were not elected by the people. That is the whole point of the elections were flawed and illegitimate. They were not a full expression of the democratic will of the people. Zanu PF is able to rig the elections. And by rigging, all he's saying is it will impose those MPs. Those MPs are more accountable to Mnangagwa than to the people. And so they will always do what Mnangagwa wants rather than what the people want. As long as Zanu PF is able to rig the elections, you cannot get Zanu PF out of power. That is the point. Those who participated in 2023 elections did more harm to Zimbabwe's democratic aspirations than Tshabangu has ever done by recalling any of these Triple C elected officials, or Tshabangu staying in power for the rest of the 4 years of this parliament. Tshabangu is not important. It's irrelevant, in fact. What we should be focusing on is 2028. Are we going to participate in 2028 without any meaningful reforms? That is what we should be focusing on. And at the present moment, if you let Chamisa off the hook for lying to the people that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, when clearly he had not done so. He didn't even deploy election agencies at all the polling stations, even when he had the funding for it. That is the problem. Chamisa is the problem. Those who participate and keep on participating in flawed elections are the problem. And the people who are so naive and gullible that they believe such idiotic nonsense as I've plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, they are the problem. Tshabangu is just a lightning conductor to divert attention so that we let the real guilty part off the hook. When will we ever learn? We need to learn. 44 years of rigged elections is unacceptable. We are not going to make it 48 years of rigged elections. Think about it. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for joining tonight. Have a good evening.